Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a really fascinating journey into the history of China's e-commerce landscape. And for you, our listener, if you're keen on getting a quick but, thorough grasp of important topics, think of this as your fast track, your express lane to understanding a really pivotal force in global tech and retail.
Exactly. And this isn't just like recounting history. It's about digging into the key events, the intense rivalries that really built China's huge online market.
Right.
And also paved the way for this whole new retail revolution we're seeing now, the way online and offline shopping are merging.
And our guide for this deep dive, it's an insightful article from an IT journalist, gives a pretty unique perspective on key concepts in Chinese tech, specifically through this e-commerce story.
Yeah, it's a good lens.
So yeah, prepare for some surprises, I think, and a look at how the big players like Alibaba and Tencent interacted. Okay, let's get into it. Starting way back, the early days, before 2003.
Right. And it's kind of wild to think that one of the very first and best-known Chinese e-commerce companies was 8848.com, started back in May 1999.
8848, that's Mount Everest, right?
Exactly. Named after the height of Everest. A memorable name for sure.
Definitely a lofty goal.
Yeah.
But despite the name, 8848.com ran into some big hurdles early on, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You have to remember, back then, internet use in China was, well, tiny, maybe 4 million users total, and most of those were businesses, not individuals.
Okay.
Plus, the number of PCs actually connected was only about, 1.46 million?
Wow.
Yeah, and most home users, they were on slow dial-up connections. So doing B2C, business-to-consumer e-commerce was, well, it was really challenging.
That really paints a picture. So, okay, 8848 is trying to sell directly to consumers and struggling.
Yeah.
What was Alibaba doing then? Jack Ma's approach?
Well, Alibaba took a totally different route. Jack Ma focused squarely on B2B, business-to-business, with Alibaba.com. The whole idea was connecting Chinese suppliers with buyers overseas. Given how few consumers were online, the B2B model just made more sense at that moment. It was much more viable.
Connect the businesses first, where the connections kind of already were. Makes sense. Now, 8848.com did have a moment, though, right? A period of growth.
It did, yeah. Around the turn of the millennium, more individuals started getting online, and then you had the whole .com bubble inflating everything.
The bubble.
So 8848.com saw some growth, got some investment, looked promising for a bit.
But it didn't last. What happened? Why did it decline?
Well, fundamentally, they just couldn't figure out how to be profitable. And then when that .com bubble burst, poof, the investment money vanished. Yeah. The founder left. The company basically just fizzled out. It's kind of a textbook case from that whole crazy early internet period, High hopes, big risks.
A stark reminder, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so who else was around back then trying to figure out this e-commerce thing?
Well, another really key player that popped up around the same time was Ding Dang.
Ding Dang, okay.
They kind of copied the early Amazon model, started with books, then branched out into everyday stuff, home appliances.
Like Amazon.
But they were much more cautious, more conservative financially. And the interesting thing is, unlike 8848, Ding Dang actually survived. They're still around today.
Really?
Yeah, doing okay too. Their GMV, that's gross merchandise volume, the total value of stuff sold, is roughly 228 billion Japanese yen. So that careful approach paid off for them.
Wow. So slow and steady won that race, maybe. And what about C2C, consumer to consumer, like eBay?
Right. So eBay started in the U.S. in '97, obviously huge success connecting regular people buying and selling. And pretty quickly, a Chinese version called EachNet launched, trying to do the same thing in China.
Okay, so the early landscape is taking shape. 8848, struggling with B2C, Alibaba smartly doing B2B, Dang Dang playing it safe, EachNet trying C2C. And then Alibaba makes his big move into C2C.
Exactly. Jack Ma was watching Amazon and eBay very closely. He saw their success and knew Alibaba needed to get into the consumer game eventually. So even though he was a bit late to C2C, he launched Taobao in May 2003.
And this is where it gets really fascinating, because a totally unexpected global event gave Taobao a massive, unexpected boost, right? SARS?
Absolutely. The SARS outbreak in 2002, 2003, it changed everything overnight. People were scared to go out, obviously. Demand for online shopping just exploded.
Right.
And funnily enough, Alibaba itself got hit hard by SARS. One employee got quarantined. The whole company, like 400 people, had to work from home.
Wow.
But guess what they were working on during that lockdown as a secret internal project? Taobao.
No way. Talk about turning a crisis into an opportunity. So people staying home helped, but maybe SARS also just made people more open to trying digital stuff. Because launching Taobao then, I mean, eBay was already in China. They'd invested in each net. It must have felt like a real long shot.
Oh, it was totally David versus Goliath. And yeah, Taobao faced huge hurdles at first. Nobody knew the brand. And Chinese consumers were really skeptical about paying for something online before they even saw it, especially from some unknown company.
Yeah, trust is key.
Exactly. eBay, through EachNet, already had some level of recognition and trust.
So how did Jack Ma and Taobao overcome that? They must have pulled some clever moves.
Oh, they did. Jack Ma's masterstroke was the free lunch strategy.
Free lunch?
Yeah. Taobao charged sellers absolutely nothing. 0 fees to list items, 0 commission on sales, nothing.
Whoa.
Which was totally different from eBay. eBay charged listing fees, like 1 to 8 yuan, plus a 2% cut of the sale.
Okay.
So by being completely free, Taobao became irresistible to sellers. Especially small entrepreneurs who were maybe hesitant about online costs, they flocked to Taobao.
That's brilliant. Get the sellers, get the products.
Yeah.
But just having listings isn't enough.
Sure.
People need to buy. You mentioned a story about the very first Taobao sale. It didn't go smoothly.
Right, the very first transaction. It was a Chinese student in Japan selling a digital camera to a university student back in Shan. But it almost fell apart right away.
What happened?
Just a misunderstanding about payment. The buyer in Shan assumed they'd pay when the camera arrived. Cash on delivery, kind of. But the seller in Japan expected payment before shipping.
The classic online trust gap.
Exactly. It perfectly highlighted that fundamental problem. How do you trust someone you've never met online, especially with money?
So what was the big insight from that failed or nearly failed transaction?
The absolute critical need for a trust mechanism, something to make both the buyer and seller feel safe.
And that's where Alipay comes in.
Precisely. Taobao rolled out Alipay, though initially it was called escrow transaction, or danbo zhao.
Escrow, okay.
The idea was simple. Taobao holds the buyer's payment. Only when the buyer confirms they got the item, and it's okay, does Taobao release the money to the seller.
Like a neutral middleman holding the cash.
Exactly. It built huge confidence. Later, it evolved into a point system within Taobao called Zifubao, but the core escrow idea was the game changer.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
A digital handshake. But, okay, Taobao starts growing like crazy. Alipay must have been swamped. What were the early logistics like?
Oh, it was wild. Totally manual at first. Imagine, with tons of transactions happening, sellers wanted their money out.
Right.
So Taobao's staff had to physically print out stacks and stacks of paper bank transfer slips every single day.
No.
Yes, and then haul these big bags stuffed with paper slips down to the local Hangzhou branch of ICBC, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China.
You're kidding. Bags of paper slips.
Bags of paper slips, daily trips to the bank. Can you imagine the paperwork? It sounds almost unbelievable now.
That's incredible. So this, like, super manual, cumbersome process actually forced them to innovate.
Pretty much. It just wasn't sustainable. So Taobao and ICBC worked together, and in December 2005, they launched an automated system.
Ah, the breakthrough.
That partnership was the real foundation for the Alipay we know today. Zifubao, the smooth digital payment system that's everywhere now.
So a system born out of necessity, really. And that trust mechanism, plus the free strategy, that just lit a fire under Taobao's growth, didn't it?
Exponentially. It was incredible. By 2005, Taobao's total sales volume blew past eBay China. It even beat Walmart China's revenue in China. And by 2006, it was the biggest e-commerce site in all of Asia, attracting something like 9 million shoppers every day.
Just staggering growth. But okay, the free lunch can't last forever, right? They're growing like crazy, but they need to make money.
Yeah.
How do you start charging when everyone's used to free?
That is the billion-dollar question for platforms like that. And yeah, Taobao eventually had to face it. They tried to monetize by introducing something called Zhao Kaijin Bao.
Okay, what was that?
Basically, it lets sellers pay to get their listings ranked higher in search results. Pay for visibility.
So the free lunch for prime position was over.
Exactly. And that did not go down well with the sellers. Not at all.
I can imagine. They came because it was free.
Right. Jack Ma had publicly promised like 3 years of no fees. And many sellers had specifically picked Taobao over eBay for that reason. So introducing paid search just over 2 years in felt like a betrayal to a lot of them.
So what happened? A backlash?
A huge backlash. Sellers got organized, formed an anti-Taobao alliance. There were even coordinated actions like pulling all their money out of Alipay at once. It was a real crisis moment for Taobao.
Wow. And who was watching all this unfold, maybe seeing an opportunity?
Well, none other than Tencent.
Ah, the other giant.
Exactly. Tencent, founded by Pony Ma around the same time as Alibaba, November 98, they saw Taobao stumbling and thought, maybe this is our chance.
It's interesting. Jack Ma and Pony Ma, very different personalities, right?
Totally. Jack Ma, very charismatic, outspoken. Pony Ma, generally seen as more reserved, more of a tech guy, and their company started very differently, too.
Right. Tencent started with what? Pager software?
Mm-hmm.
Then hit it big with QQ, their instant messenger. OICQ originally.
Mm-hmm.
By 2004, QQ had like 300 million users.
Yeah.
A massive audience. But like early Taobao, they didn't really know how to make money from it at first.
Right. Their first big revenue stream actually came from QQ games, selling virtual items and stuff within the QQ platform.
Okay. So Tencent has this enormous user base with QQ. E-commerce seems like a natural next step. And Taobao's mess up with the paid listings gives them the perfect opening.
Precisely. So in 2006, Tencent launches Paipai.com, their own C2C platform.
Paipai.
And they went straight after those unhappy Taobao sellers. They ran these aggressive moving campaigns, basically saying, come over to Paipai. We'll give trusted sellers free top search rankings. Buyers get coupons.
Wow, directly poaching them. That sounds really aggressive.
It was very direct, very competitive. There were reports of some serious tension, even a really heated argument between Taobao's president at the time and Pony Ma.
I bet. What did Jack Ma think?
Jack Ma publicly kind of dismissed Paipai, said it lacked innovation, called it just a copycat of Taobao. He even predicted it wouldn't last.
Ooh, throwing shade. And, well, history kind of proved him right on that one, didn't it? Paipai never really took off like Taobao.
No, it didn't. I mean, Paipai got some market share, maybe 9% in 2007, but by 2013 it had dropped to under 5%. Meanwhile, Taobao just kept dominating, like 95% market share.
Wow. Why do you think Paipai failed to challenge Taobao?
Most experts think Tencent just shifted its focus. Their gaming business was absolutely exploding, bringing in huge profits, so maybe e-commerce just wasn't the top priority anymore. They put their resources elsewhere.
Makes sense. Follow the money. So Taobao survives the monetization crisis, fends off Tencent's direct challenge in C2C, but Alibaba still needed a solid long-term way to make money from e-commerce.
Yeah.
And that led to Tmall, right? A different kind of platform.
Exactly. Alibaba's really smart solution was Tmall T, originally called Taobao. It was set up as a separate B2C platform, business to consumer.
So different from Taobao.
Very different. Taobao was like this wide-open, free-for-all marketplace. Tmall was designed for established brands and retailers. There were fees to join, higher standards, higher barriers to entry.
Ah, okay. So attract the big, reputable companies who are willing to pay for a more premium environment.
Precisely. It let Alibaba generate revenue from commissions, service fees, advertising, while still keeping Taobao mostly free for the smaller sellers.
That's a clever way to split the market.
Yeah.
Have the messy, vibrant bazaar of Taobao and the more organized, brand-focused shopping mall of Tmall. And Tmall became the launchpad for something absolutely massive, didn't it? Singles Day.
Oh, yeah. Alibaba basically invented the Singles Day shopping festival, November 11th, on Tmall. Turned it into the biggest online shopping day in the world, year after year, just cemented their dominance.
Incredible. Okay, so while Alibaba is solidifying its e-commerce empire with Taobao and Tmall, what's Tencent doing? They didn't just give up on retail, did they? Their strategy just shifted.
That's a really important point. They didn't give up, but their approach became much more indirect. Instead of trying to be the main e-commerce platform, they started focusing on enabling e-commerce for others.
Enabling others. How?
Well, a huge move was in 2014. They sold Paipai.com and another e-commerce venture, QQ Wangu, to JD.com.
JD.com, Alibaba's other big rival.
Exactly. And as part of that deal, Tencent became a major shareholder in JD, getting about a 15% stake. So they still had skin in the e-commerce game, just not by running their own platform head-to-head with Alibaba.
Huh. Like investing in the challenger instead of being the challenger themselves?
Smart.
And Tencent had another weapon, a massive one, WeChat.
Absolutely massive. WeChat, launched in 2011, just took over China. It became everything: messaging, social media, payments.
Right, WeChat Pay.
They're
built on their older payment system, Tempeh or 2.
Exactly. WeChat Pay became incredibly powerful. So WeChat and WeChat Pay became the new core of Tencent's strategy for the broader retail world.
And this led to Tencent's own vision. Similar to Alibaba's new retail, they called it smart retail. What does new retail actually mean in this context?
Yeah, new retail or smart retail, it's basically about blurring the lines between online and offline shopping using technology.
Okay.
Creating one seamless experience for the customer, whether they're browsing on their phone, in a physical store, getting something delivered. It's all connected.
How does Tencent do that with WeChat?
Well, they leverage WeChat's huge user base, obviously, plus WeChat Pay for seamless transactions. And then they have these things called mini programs.
Ah, yes, the apps within WeChat.
Right. So they use all this to give traditional physical stores digital tools. Like a local fruit shop can have a mini program store, run targeted ads on WeChat, take payments with WeChat Pay, and even partner with delivery services like Meituan, which Tencent also invested in for instant delivery.
So Tencent provides the tech infrastructure for offline businesses to go digital and connect with customers online.
Exactly. They are not selling the fruit themselves. They're powering the fruit store's digital transformation. We see it everywhere. They've also backed companies like Pinduoduo.
Right, the social e-commerce group buying phenomenon.
Yeah. Another way to leverage social networks for sales. And Tencent actively helps big traditional chains digitize too, like Big Yuan, that big fruit chain, or Kiandama, a popular chain selling fresh pork, helping them integrate their physical stores with online ordering and delivery.
So it's this really interesting dynamic. Alibaba built the dominant online shopping destinations, Taobao and Tmall, but Tencent is now kind of weaving the digital fabric for all sorts of retailers, especially traditional ones, connecting online and offline.
That's a great way to put it. And crucially, as you sort of hinted, Alibaba hasn't really managed to build a successful social network like WeChat. They've tried, but nothing's stuck.
Right.
That gives Tencent a unique edge in this new retail or smart retail game. They own the social layer, the communication layer that underpins so much of daily life and commerce now.
Okay, so where does that leave things today? It sounds like the main fight isn't just about who has the biggest online marketplace anymore, but who wins in this bigger new retail space.
Precisely. That's the battleground now. It's Alibaba versus Tencent, duking it out in new retail. Each one is playing to their strengths.
How so?
Well, Alibaba has its massive e-commerce platforms, its incredibly sophisticated logistics network, tons of data. Tencent has WeChat, WeChat Pay, the mini programs, and deep connections with lots of other retail partners, both online like JD and Pinduoduo, and offline.
We used to talk about Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent as the three giants of Chinese tech. Is that still the case?
It's evolved, definitely. Baidu is still huge, especially in search and AI, but maybe not quite in the same lead as the other two when it comes to influencing daily commerce and the overall tech ecosystem. Now it really feels dominated by the A and the T, Alibaba and Tencent.
So basically a two-horse race driving everything forward.
Pretty much. And this intense competition between Alibaba and Tencent, that's what's forcing all this incredibly rapid innovation and change in China's whole retail industry. It's fascinating to watch.
Okay, let's do a quick recap then. We've covered a lot. From the unexpected impact of things like SARS to the early battles, Alibaba's super clever free lunch strategy to beat eBay, and now this ongoing evolving rivalry with Tencent in the new retail era.
Yeah, and hopefully you, our listener, now have a much better feel for the history, the key moments, and the major players that shape China's incredibly dynamic tech and e-commerce scene.
Definitely. So here's a final thought to leave you with. Seeing how fierce this competition is in China and how they're blending online and offline retail, what might that tell us about the future elsewhere? Could we see similar trends in other countries?
Yeah, what does it mean for traditional shops, for how we all shop around the world?
Exactly. How might businesses and consumer habits change globally based on what's happening in China right now? Definitely something interesting to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today.